All right, so I'm check. Is our friend here? Did he ever pop by? Do we ever any of our friends here? Well, Curtis said he was coming tonight. Is why I'm asking. Okay.
Do we have Curtis in the house?
Yeah.
No Curtis? Sorry, everybody.
He usually pops by around 9. Yeah. All right.
Delight deferred.
Okay. Well, I'm wearing my colors for my wife's basketball team tonight. This is the Lisa's, which is designed by Hannah's not she's in the front row. Hannah Nance, our longtime Armenian and brilliant graphic designer, designed these shirts, and she's also doing the illustration for Emily Gordon's book. So I'm just putting a string around my finger. We should have Emily Gordon on the show.
We should. We are wasting somebody that should have been on the show a long time ago. I think she'd be fascinating.
She's almost a victim of like how close she is to because it was literally her idea for me to do the podcast. Yeah. Like she suggested it. It's like, so whenever I see her in the email, she's always just going like, do you have any names for the guest list? And I just like think of, but I'm like never thinking like, oh, Emily Gordon would be an amazing
Why don't
guest.
we just say next week let's have her on? Oh, no, we're going to be in Portland, right?
I think next week we're in Portland.
Maybe she will be too. We'll see. Well,
Steve Levy, are you here? Yeah. Okay, put it on. Put Emily Gordon on your list. Put Andy Kindler on your list.
PJ O'Rourke.
I'm gonna start doing like a regular podcast, having Steve Levy.
Andy
like
Kindler,
book,
I fucking love
Andy. Andy Kindler's the funniest.
By applause, who knows Andy Kindler? Holy fuck! I've one of the funniest days of my life because that guy's so bloody fucking funny. He for some reason he likes the Lakers or used to. I sat next to him at his girlfriend's apartment up in the valley like many years ago. And I watched him watch a Laker game, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, because he's a stand-up comic who's just giving the Lakers shit. He's tremendously funny.
He's an LA treasure, and is funnier than any. If you see him do stand-up, I saw him do a show one time. He was going to what's the Aspen, like the big thing there where the comics go, and I guess it was Aspen, right? In the old days when there was a thing called holding deals and development deals for actors, that's all gone away. Like unless you're like Steve Buscemi or bigger, like they used to give like up and coming comics this, $500,000 to go. Don't go to ABC. You work for CBS, and we're going to put you on a show. And if we don't, you still get $500,000. So the big back when every comic was getting shows, like your Ray Romano's and Drew Carey's and stuff like that, and then way after that, he was doing a show at Igby's, which is a comedy club I think that's gone now on the West Side, and they told him, do your set. Do not riff. Do not go off script. Just it's all the top brass, all the big companies and networks are going to be at your show, and you're going to go to Aspen. You just do your thing. And he made a reference that someone goes like, "What's that?" Someone just yelled out, didn't get the reference, and he never got back to his material, and absolutely crucified the entire audience. Because they were West Side tight asses and didn't fucking dig it and right wing, and he fucking just laid it on him. And then he goes like, forget momentum, forget forward progress, madam. Anytime you don't understand anything I say, please, or anybody, just pipe in and ask me what that means. I'd hate to see you at a Dennis Miller concert. And then he did 40 minutes on he hates Dennis Miller. And the crowd it was abject silence, except for the 7 comics in the back of the room who were losing our minds. I mean, he's really,
he's my hero.
The phrase "comics comic." I mean, he really is somehow. I don't know if he'd be offended by me saying this. He jokes about it all the time, but I think it's notable about his career that, and I put heavy air quotes around the word success. Very heavy air quotes, because that's the point of his existence that's proven out. Is you would say at a glance, success eludes him. Like as in he hasn't had a shitty sitcom yet. He hasn't embarrassed himself grappling for an attempt to be one of those household names. I don't know if it's because of that's why I want to talk to him. I don't know if that's his own choice. I don't know if he sabotages himself. I don't know if unconsciously that's nobility, or if it's just happy coincidence that he's. I don't know if he's if that opportunity never comes to him.
If Andy had his way, he would be on TV and in movies, guaranteed. But he's so funny. He would do a thing at the Just for Laughs in Montreal where he would do a giant show called the State of the Industry Address. And he would just talk about what's being picked up and what's not. And it's fucking magic.
I think there's always this intersection. I'm always talking about, like, I hate this, like, institutionalized comedy concept. Like, comedy's very popular now. So it's like, and I'm sorry, I'm going to slit my own throat by saying sometimes when I see ads for Jimmy Fallon with a politician who's going to come out and play tug of war with him, like I'm just like, this isn't comedy's role in the world. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. How do I even know what we're doing is funny anymore? If the
shows
idea
like
is
that
just
should be hosted by people such as Andy Kindler and Jeremy Kramer and Greg Proops and people like that.
And comedy should always be separate from success. It should always be separate from politics. It should always be profane. It should always be the other thing. It should because otherwise you cannot guarantee that it's funny and that as funny as it could be, and you cannot like I don't even know. It's like I'm always like ranting about this behind closed doors. I feel like it's actually like career suicide for me to like, you know, I can't even fully like talk about it because I would say so much shit that it would just people already don't like me. But I just think like comedy doesn't have to be dark and it doesn't have to be toxic. It doesn't have to be hateful, but it has to be suspicious of authority. Yeah, it has to hate everything that's popular. It cannot just come out and say, this popular thing's coming out, but what if this popular thing played peekaboo with me? Peekaboo! That can't be comedy. That cannot be comedy. There's no way. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And so, and I feel like Andy kind of represents like the intersection of those roads where you can get some investigation done because he is truly funny, and it seems like the reason all comics love him and like always kind of trust him and fear him and why he's never able like. He never shoots up and rings the dumbbell, you know, like at the carnival where it's like, boom, Andy Kindler in the WBs just talking about daddies. It never gets to that point. I have a feeling it's because he's too, like whether it's genetic or unconscious or by choice, he's too committed to being funny.
Yeah.
And it won't allow for that. Like you couldn't put Bill Hicks in a sitcom.
There's not a drawer that he goes right into, like on TV and stuff like that.
But I oversold him, so now he'll come on the show and he'll be like, yeah, he's just gonna yell at you guys for being young. That's what I do too.
There was an amazing show like many years ago. It was all the indie comics, like mostly San Francisco people. It was called Hacks. And everyone came up and did their favorite hack style of comedy. Like Dave Anthony came out as the fat comic who only talked about how fat he was. Like he stuffed his shirt, and his name was Joey Sandwiches. And the immortal and wonderful and passed away sadly, Warren Thomas is one of the greatest comics of all time. He did the Hack Def Comedy Jam comic, and it was fucking magical. And Andy Kindler did the most abstruse one, and I think it stole the whole show. He was the Logic comic. I was like, the comics that do, and I won't say names. There's people that still do this. It's my least favorite kind of stand-up. Where there's a guy, there's a woman. And it lives on my block, and every time I get in my car, and she smells like piss, and she knocks on my window, and I say to her, "Mom," like that kind of thing, where they turn the tables kind of at the end. So he had like Janine Garofalo in the audience, like planted as a heckler. Like, you suck, and he goes, "Madam, I don't come down to where you work and knock the painting off the easel when you're creating a delicate masterpiece." And it was only for comics. God damn, it was funny. He did. There was a woman lives in my house. She raised my siblings and I, and she fed us and she put us through college. And one day I said to her, "Mom,"
All right.
and that was in the living room. Only for comics. Everybody was shitting their pants. I worship Andy Kindler. We have to have him on the show.
Yeah, we'll have him on. I also he's on Twitter, and you wouldn't think this about him, but not an atheist. Like, and he's always getting yelled at by atheists. And so sometimes I'll jump in, like, because he's getting he's getting drawn into some like weird thing with like atheist kids who are like, you're smart, you shouldn't believe in God and all this stuff, and I don't know, he's getting these dumb fights with dumb people. And